Good evening, everyone. This is the video I asked you to watch about the Declaration of the Rights of a Child. So we're just going to very quickly go through this passage. I'm going to explain it, try and make it make a little bit more sense, and then I'm going to share with you some of the discussion questions that you will have for the discussion that you guys are going to have tomorrow in class. So I am going to share my screen. Then we are going to go over to my document of Declaration of the Rights of a Child. So let's give you a little background about this document. This document was written by the United Nations. Over here it says the United Nations, or the UN, is an international organization that is made up of 193 member states from around the world. All 193 member states collectively form the General Assembly. The General Assembly meets every year to discuss, address, and make policies that protect fundamental human rights and maintain global peace. One of these policies was to adopt and expand Eglantine Jebb's document, the Geneva Declaration on the Rights of a Child. So if we scroll down to the beginning of this document, we get some background information. It says, in the late 19th century, many countries began to officially recognize that children need special legal protection. The Declaration of the Rights of the Child, which was adopted by the United Nations in 1959, is the first major international agreement on children's rights. It was inspired by the original declaration written by Eglantine Webb, a British activist. So, kids have rights, and it's important that kids know and understand that they have rights. It's important that others know that kids have rights so that we can protect those rights that kids have. As we've been talking in class about our classroom expectations, we've also been talking about rights and how it's important that we protect every kid's right to learn in class, and that we have rights as far as it doesn't impede others' rights in our class. So I thought that it was important that we touch on this document and we go through it. Now, this document was not written for kids. This is written to leaders of the world, and it uses a lot of confusing language. So I'm going to go through this with you today, and we are very quickly going to read a few of these paragraphs, and then I am going to explain to you what they're talking about in those paragraphs. So feel free to just kick back a little bit and listen and try and understand why this document is so important. Okay, it starts here in paragraph 1. The Declaration of the Rights of the Child, to the end that he may have a happy childhood and enjoy for his own good and for the good of society the rights and freedoms herein set forth, and calls upon parents, upon men and women as individuals, and upon voluntary organizations, local authorities, and national governments to recognize these rights and strive for their observance by legislative and other measures progressively taken in accordance with the following principles. That's really confusing. I understand that's really confusing. That's okay. So here I have a quick summary of the first paragraph. Okay, so what they're basically saying here in this first paragraph is this document was written so that children could have a happy childhood and their rights would be protected. This document was written for parents, organizations, and governments to know what a child needs. If we come back here, we can see happy childhood. Okay, it's important that kids get to have a happy childhood. Okay, it's calling upon parents and upon governments. Okay, legislative and other measures. So when we talk about legislative measures, we're talking about governments making laws that protect children's rights. So they're hoping that governments are going to make laws to protect children's rights. Down here in the second paragraph, it says, the child shall enjoy all the rights set forth in this declaration, Every child, without any exception whatsoever, shall be entitled to these rights without distinction or discrimination on account of race, sex, color, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status, whether of himself or of his family. So, again, this is still really confusing. Okay, let's look at paragraph 2. Okay, in paragraph 2, what they're basically saying is all children should have these rights, no matter where they come from, what color or race they are, whether they're male or female, where their parents are from. None of those conditions matter. Every kid should have these rights. Whatever country they live in, wherever they're from, none of that matters. None of these things matter. The only thing that matters is that all kids should have these rights. So here it says, without any exception. So there are no, well, we're not going to provide these rights for these particular kids, but for every other kid. Okay, so that would be an exception. Okay, none of these things are going to get in the way of kids having these rights. All kids deserve to have these rights. Paragraph 3. The child shall enjoy special protection and shall be given opportunities and facilities by law and other means to enable him to develop physically, mentally, morally, spiritually, and socially in a healthy and normal manner and in conditions of freedom and dignity. In the enactment of laws for this purpose, the best interests of the child shall be the paramount consideration. So, again, a little bit confusing. Let's take a look at paragraph 3 here. Children should get extra protection so their bodies can be healthy, their minds can be healthy, their spirits can be healthy, they can be socially healthy. Laws should be created to protect these rights. Okay? They're very, it's not just kids need to be protected from people coming in and kidnapping them. Kids have lots of rights that say that they should be able to live happy and healthy lives. So if we come back to the document, okay, physically, mentally, morally, okay, morals means that your sense of right or wrong. Kids should be taught a sense of right or wrong, okay, in a normal manner and in conditions of freedom. So kids should not be born into slavery. Kids should not be forced to go to work. There are some countries where little children are forced to go to work instead of having freedoms. And people should be treated with dignity, with kindness, with respect. Okay, and then they say making laws is in the best interest of the child. Okay. The next paragraph is the child shall be entitled from his birth to a name and a nationality. This one seems a little bit strange when you first read it, but all kids need to be given a name. There are some circumstances in history where people were not given names, they were given numbers. And when they don't have a name to connect with themselves, they're treated more like objects than like people. So by having a name, we're not treating a child like an object, we're treating them like a human being. Okay. And they need to have a nationality or some kind of group that they can associate with, that they have connections to. Those things are important in a child's life. So if we come over here to paragraphs 4 and 5, it says all children should have a name and a group they can identify with. Okay. So let's look back at paragraph 5 here. The child shall enjoy the benefits of Social Security. He shall be entitled to grow and develop in health. To this end, special care and protection shall be provided both to him and to his mother, including adequate prenatal and postnatal care. The child shall have the right to adequate nutrition, housing, recreation, and medical services. So, if we take a look here, it's saying children should be provided what they need to be healthy, including food, place to live, ways they can play and exercise, and they should be able to see doctors when they need to. Because we're protecting kids, We also need to protect pregnant mothers who are carrying the kids. Okay, so we need to take care of pregnant mothers, and then also, when they're done being pregnant, we still need to take care of those mothers because those mothers need to be able to take care of the child. So, in our societies, it's important that we put care and consideration into making sure that children are going to have all these essentials and that moms are also going to be taken care of so they can then in turn take care of babies. The child who is physically, mentally, or socially handicapped should be given special treatment, education, and care required by this particular condition. So, someone who is handicapped has something about them that's different than someone else. And it could be that they think differently, it could be that their body looks differently or it works differently. There are lots of different ways that someone could be handicapped. And children who are handicapped should be given special treatment. Okay, so if we come over here and we look at 6, it says all handicapped children should be able to receive special treatment, education, and care. So just because someone learns differently doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to receive education. Just because someone has maybe 6 toes on their right foot doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to receive the care that they need. If they need a special sock for that toe, for the extra toe on that foot, then they should be able to receive those things. So we need to take care of children who have some sort of handicap as well. Okay, so we will get to paragraph 7, but this video has gone on long enough, and so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this passage into 2 days, and we will get to the rest of the passage. We just have about 5 paragraphs left. We'll get to the rest of this passage tomorrow. Okay, but remember, it's important for children to have the things that they need in order to be healthy. Okay, they need to have things like adequate food, a place to live, ways to play, doctors to come and see them. Okay, we need to take special care of mothers. All of these things are to protect children who need special protection. So that's what this document is about. It's declaring to the world that kids should have these rights. Unfortunately, not every kid in every country or in every place in the world has these rights. Here in this country, we do try to provide for these rights for kids. So I want you to think about these questions that I've put in the email. Okay. The email sent to you says that you are to watch this video and then think about the video and then think about the kinds of answers you might give, the kinds of discussion you might have in class tomorrow regarding what kinds of rights kids have, why are each one of those rights important, how are those rights protected, uh, all of those kinds of things that I put in that email. Please take a look at that. And tomorrow, when we get together, we'll have a discussion about this. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this. If you need to watch it again, please feel free. And I hope you guys have a great night. See ya.